So one of the things that Rochelle and I learned early in our premarital class that's really set us up for what's been 3 months of great married life so far was somewhat counterintuitive. It was actually something that I can say we learned. It wasn't something we had heard before, but something we actually learned. And it was this idea that you'll never get your spouse, you'll never get them to understand. You can only get them to realize. And I think that was brilliant, especially because my wife's a 5 on the Enneagram and I'm a 7. We both feel like I need you to understand why I'm doing something or why I'm behaving this way or why I said what I said. In fact, I would drive my family nuts when I lived with them because whenever we would get into it and I got past being angry about something, I would over explain why I said what I said, yada, 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 because I was so desperate to have them understand. But premarital taught us they're never going to understand because they're not you. They're never going to see things through your eyes. So your best win is when they just realize that you have a different way of seeing it. They realize that's how you see it. They'll never understand it, but they can realize it. You know, the love languages conversation. Rochelle, she's all about quality time. I'm a very typical man. It's words of affirmation and physical touch. I'll never be able to receive love or understand how she receives love. And she most likely won't ever be able to understand why I receive love, why and how I receive love. That I just like being told that you love me. I like being touched. That's just how I appreciate it. But it's not about understanding it because that would kind of make her me and make me her. It's really about just realizing, okay, that's how you receive it. You know, we were talking to a dating couple yesterday and they talked about something and they called their fights creative discussions. And it's funny because it's like every couple's got different ways to describe the moments where we don't see eye to eye. But in reality, imagine how much that would all change if we weren't really struggling to try to get them to understand, but rather just help them realize. And maybe our goal isn't to try to understand the other person, but rather it's just to realize, wow, you're a whole different human being with a whole different set of beliefs. Hopefully not when it comes down to what you believe about the Lord and church and all that, but in this moment, what we're talking about, you just see things differently. You got to that point differently. My job as a good husband isn't to really understand everything my wife's feeling and thinking. It's just to realize that that's what she's feeling and that's what she's thinking. I was talking to one of my best friends yesterday, and we were just talking back and forth about how we're not supposed to fix things. And as the man, when we're talking to our wives, and they're talking about what's going on, that they just want us to listen. You know, the old aged tale, just don't try to fix anything. That's hard for us to understand though, because when my wife is cold, I get her a blanket. When she's not feeling good, I get her medicine. When she's hungry, I get her food. That's just, when she's like, oh, it's dark in here, I go turn the light on. It's the good husband. It's what we do. We serve our wives. We get them what they need. So it's hard to flip that switch and suddenly just stop fixing things. But I'll never be able to just stop that. I'd become cold. I need my wife to realize that that's just what I do innately. And at the same time, I have to realize, not understand, but I have to realize that my wife doesn't want me to fix things. She wants me to listen. I don't think I'll ever be able to understand that. I don't think I should. I don't think she'll ever understand why I want to fix things. But hopefully, couples can work together to just realize how the other person behaves, why they behave that way. Just, I see that you do things differently. So, greatest piece of advice we've ever gotten in marriage, something that someone told us, greatest piece of advice was don't aim to understand. Just simply aim to realize.